ready?
Go.
All right, so today we're going to talk about introducing your essay. So writing introductions for your essay. All right, and here at MTI, we talk about 4 different ways to introduce an essay. Okay, a topic. So who knows one of those ways? How would you go about introducing your essay, starting an essay? How have you done it in the past?
Ask a question related to the
Perfect.
topic.
Yeah, ask a question, right? Thank you. In the background there. Box man. Okay, ask a question. What else?
I guess summarize what the essay is going to be about.
You could do that, although it's kind of, you probably want to save that maybe for the end, or maybe we'll talk about conclusions a little later, right? But I don't necessarily recommend that.
You like foreshadow things to come?
You can foreshadow things to come. Okay. What do you mean by that?
Just you can allude to what the essay is going to be about, and it's kind of like a very, very broad overview.
So kind of like what Kenny was saying about kind of foreshadowing, or like kind of summarizing like what it's going to be about. I think you can do that, but we're really talking about, when we're talking about introducing your essay, we really want to hook the reader. So how do we hook them? How do we get their interest?
I'll put a quote.
Tell a story. I like that. And someone said, use a quote. Okay. Okay, we call it an anecdote, right? A little story, okay? And then a quote's good, right? Usually by a famous person, somebody we know, or somebody who's an expert maybe in that field, okay? And the last one, when I say it, you guys are gonna probably go, oh yeah. Give a fact or a statistic, okay? And it has to be a real one, okay? So those are the 4 ways to kind of hook your reader, get their interest, right? So for this essay, we're talking about learning styles, right? One of the things you could do, right, is just ask a question about learning styles. Have you ever wondered why someone gets an A in math and you struggle? Have you ever wondered why you get an A in English and that same person who got an A in math struggles in English, right? Or while you do really well in one class and someone else doesn't. Have you wondered that? Right? That's a great way to start the essay, because now they're trying to answer the questions in their head, and now they're engaged in what you're writing. You've got them hooked into your essay. A story could simply be, when I was, in high school, I struggled to do well in English or history or math or chemistry, right? And maybe it was because you didn't understand it, and maybe that was because the teacher, the way the teacher taught the class, which goes back to the learning style thing, right? Like if you're not a good, listener, or you don't like to sit through lectures, right? Then you might not do well in that class because you have a hard time focusing and getting the information down. Whereas maybe in chemistry you were awesome because you were doing labs and then all the time, it's hands-on, right? Now you're a type 3 learner, right? Okay? So you could talk about that. Oh, in chemistry, I remember in chemistry we did, in high school we did labs all the time. And it was so much fun, and I really did well in there. I got a great grade. Teacher, wrote me a recommendation for college, or gave me an award at the end of the year or whatever. And the reason why is because we were always hands-on. We were always doing labs, and I really learned all the information. Okay, so that's a learning style. You can talk about that. Okay, so you're telling a little story to the reader to get them kind of hooked in, like, oh, okay, this is what happened. A quote, right? Simple. Give me a quote about learning, right? There's a bunch of them, and I don't have one off the top of my head right now, unfortunately, but there's one about teach a man something and he learns for life or whatever.
Give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish and he eats for the rest of his life.
Right, that's a good one, right? but you can also get some like that for specific to learning, right? And like Ben Franklin has a couple really good ones, and there's some others out there. But starting with a quote is good, because then people are like, oh, hey, quote, okay, I get that. This person said this, all right. And then you can kind of elaborate a little bit on it and then lead yourself to your thesis, which is kind of where we're going with this, okay? The last one is a fact or a statistic, right? You could, I mean, again, I'm going to make up a fact or a statistic here, right? 87% of all first-year college students, were specific types of learners, were auditory learners, or were, kinesthetic learners, or were, right? And so that would help in terms of, okay, now the reason, that's important, because we need to know if somebody's an auditory learner, how are we going to teach them? If they're a kinesthetic learner, how are we going to teach them? If they're a visual learner, how are we going to teach them? And so if 97% of entering students are visual learners, then we're going to have to do more PowerPoint presentations and video tutorials and things like that, right? So again, to start off with a statistic that kind of supports your idea, right? And again, you need to be careful too about talking about statistics and making sure that they're related to our topic. So auditory, visual, kinesthetic, we can relate that to type 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Good. Okay. So questions about ways to introduce your topic? Do all these make sense to everyone? Because in a few minutes, I'm going to have you choose 2 of these and write an introduction to your essay number 1.